Friction is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. It's what allows the wind and the rain to destroy mountains over time and turn rivers into deep canyons. Today, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to understand friction in a way that will allow you to achieve success and destroy your enemies. Hello everyone, I'm Bobtheorc, and let's get started. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor. Me! Yes, I sponsor my own videos because I'm not actually doing this to make money, I'm just doing this for fun. But I'd like everybody to check out my dad's book. He wrote a book about how inflation's coming, how to beat inflation. And I think that's going to be particularly useful right now while everybody's suffering from economic stagnation and rising prices. We've got a tough road ahead. And Dad's book has some good insights, so we're going to share that with you. But now, let's get on with the show. So, at a basic level, friction causes resistance against whatever you're trying to do. You know, if something's trying to slide down a hill, the friction will cause it to slow down. It's like an opposing force. Friction is always an opposing force to whatever you're doing. And understanding friction from a physics perspective, if you abstract it, you can apply this to everyday life. And this is one of the most important lessons I've ever learned, and also perhaps the most painful. So, when achieving success, you know, assuming you have some drive and motivation to do something, life is full of hassles, and these hassles apply a friction against what you're trying to do. And removing friction from your everyday life has a huge impact. For example, I haven't made a video in a while. Why? Well, because I got busy with work. Yes, I actually do work still. And just having a little bit more distractions each day, being a little bit busier each day, prevented me from being able to focus and make the videos like I normally do. Having a toxic friend or a toxic relationship, somebody who's always, bothering you or needing help, needing money, wasting your time, all this adds up. Friction has a cumulative effect over time. Mountains aren't eroded away in a short period. It can take millions of years. And if you think about it, having a toxic relationship or a toxic friend or a hassle that maybe wastes 15 minutes a day over the course of your lifetime, that could come out to, hundreds or even thousands of hours. And so what can you do with all this extra time? What can you do with this extra money? That guy who's always wanting to bum $5 to go buy a pack of cigarettes, well, over time, that can be thousands of dollars. That could be the vacation you always wanted, or the spare room, renovating your bathroom, or buying that car, paying off your debt. All these little things add up. And one of the most profound effects on my life has been once I understood this and I started simplifying my life. This is why in my videos about success, I'm always talking about simplifying your life. The reason you want to simplify your life is because it removes friction. It removes these opposing forces that slow you down. And when you're not being held back, you have a much greater odds of success because there's fewer things in your way. One of the biggest achievements was when it got to the point that I didn't have to wake up first thing in the morning unless I wanted to. All of a sudden, if I had to stay up late to work on a project, I could be extra productive because just that annoyance of having to answer the phone in the morning or open up the shop in the morning, things like that. Just little things like that make a big difference. And you're not going to get there immediately. It's going to take a long time, but you always want to keep moving forward, taking small steps to remove obstacles in your way. Look at Steve Jobs, how he'd always wear the same black shirt and blue jeans every day, so he didn't have to waste the 5 minutes of time to figure out what he wanted to wear in the morning. I know that sounds stupid, but over a lifetime, that saved him, hundreds of hours. And so just little things that you can do to simplify your life and remove this friction, remove these opposing forces, that makes a big difference. Now, on the opposite side of things, adding friction can really make somebody's life difficult. My Uncle Louis was an Olympic wrestler, and he told me one of the secrets, my secret strategy for wrestling, because I wasn't as strong as the other wrestlers. And he said, just make it a little bit more difficult for them than it is for you. If I could lean on them and apply my weight to them so they had to carry my weight more than I had to carry theirs, that created a friction against their efforts to wrestle me, and over time it'd wear them down slightly faster than it'd wear me down. And by the end of the match, they were exhausted. I still had quite a bit of energy, and so I'd be able to win. And the same thing applies in business, for example. We had a competitor open up across the street from my computer store a long time ago. And by identifying their primary source of income, which was slightly different from ours, we were able to compete very aggressively on their primary source of income, causing them to be slightly less profitable than they would be otherwise. And eventually they closed up shop because it just wasn't worth the trouble. It was becoming too difficult. And you see the same thing in the culture war in politics. When people boycott businesses or harass people with lawsuits over silly things, you're just adding trouble. You're adding resistance to what they're trying to do, and over time, it has a large negative effect, a cumulative effect. And if you see, a lot of these little subtle laws that get passed that favor one side or the other, a lot of times it's intended to make it slightly more difficult for the life of the opponents, and that reduces the amount of free time that these people have to be active in supporting or opposing whatever cause. And so just by adding friction to your opponents, you can make them slightly less efficient, and it all adds up. And as you keep adding more friction, it's like the prank that we would pull when we're backpacking in the mountains, backpacking at Philmont. We'd start adding rocks to somebody's backpack, just small rocks, but over time, you add 1 pound, 2 pounds of rocks, and they start to wonder why they're so tired when their backpack's not that much heavier than it was before. And so when you're finding yourself in opposition to somebody, obviously don't break any laws. We're all gentlemen here, at least we're supposed to be. If you can find ways to make your opponent's life just a little bit more difficult, that's going to make it a lot harder. They're going to have to expend more time and more resources to compete with you. And that's a big secret. And I know once you think about it, it's like, wow, this is pretty obvious. When it finally hit me, I was like, holy crap, why didn't I think about this 20 years ago? And it just took me a while to put 2 and 2 together. But if you can understand these basic principles, friction takes time to have an effect, so don't expect immediate results. Remove friction from your life so that it's easier for you to become successful, and add friction to those that oppose you to make it more difficult for them. Over time, this will have a cumulative effect, and you can get quite a bit done. So that's what I've got for you today. Think about it some, and you can leave a comment. We can talk about this in more detail in the future. I'm hesitant to go into specific details about how you can exploit this, because I don't want somebody to do something crazy and then have me get blamed for it. But just think about the basic ideas and find ways that you can apply this in your own life. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did like it, subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. You can also check out my website, Bobtheorc.com, where you can download a free copy of my dad's book and some other things. Have a nice day. Goodbye.